After being reborn and returning to the place where I received my certificate, I excused myself to go to the bathroom and climbed out of the window. In my previous life, when I was 8 months pregnant, my fiancé Fujian went to Tibet to find himself with his savior by henning, and he walked away for 16 years. In the early morning when I died in the rental house, he knelt in front of by Henning's photo of the snow-capped mountains and said, it would have been better if she hadn't gone to the bathroom that day. What a coincidence. For the life of me, I still go to the bathroom. The difference is that I climbed out of the window. He had no shoes on, a cut in his skirt, and $6 in his pocket. He waited outside for 40 minutes until the Civil Affairs Bureau security guards couldn't stand it anymore. Sir, how about you go to the toilet too? When he called me, the phone was on the toilet seat and vibrated 37 times. And I was squatting at a roadside stall 3 streets away, barefoot, eating the most free bowl of noodles in my life. Chapter 1. When the pen tip stopped on the paper, a black spread out from the ink. My mind exploded. It's not some soul-shaking epiphany about past and present lives. It literally blew up. My temples were pounding, and 16 years of memories were rushing in. I was chattering and rolling around, no different from a group of aunties fighting for eggs in the wet market. 8 months pregnant. Brother Zian, the wind in Tibet can heal my soul. Rental house, night shift. Take care of the kids during the day. Work overtime at night. 16 years. 4 o'clock in the morning. Stomach bleeding. The floor was cold. Dead. I'm dead. Then the voice next to him. He was kneeling in front of the photo of the snow-capped mountains, crying until his nose was bubbling. It would have been better if she hadn't gone to the bathroom that day. Ridiculous or not, the biggest mistake of my life, in his opinion, was going to the toilet. The memory is full. I blinked. Civil Affairs Bureau Hall. The air conditioner hums. The number plate in front says A037. There is a marriage registration form spread out on the table. Party A and Party B check and sign. Mass-producing happiness. Sitting next to him was Fujian. 26-year-old Fujian. The shirt is flat, the cufflinks are shiny, the posture is upright, and the face is smiling. He was looking at me, his eyes were focused, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and he had an affectionate look that said, please give me more advice for the rest of my life. Very handsome. It's so handsome. So handsome that I wasted my whole life just for this face in my previous life. I put the pen down. What's wrong? He asked, his voice gentle. I looked at his face for 5 seconds. There is a fierce inner battle going on every second. The first second, raise your hand and slap him. Second second, forget it, this is the Civil Affairs Bureau, and beating someone is against the law. Second second, tear up the form on the table and stuff it into his mouth. Fourth second, forget it, you have to pay for damage to public property. Fifth second, plan generation. I'm going to use the toilet. He smiled and took the pen from my hand naturally. Go ahead, I'll wait for you. You wait for me. You also said this in your previous life. Have you waited? What a wait. I stood up, smiled politely at him, and walked to the bathroom with my bag in hand. When I reached the corner, I looked back at him. He was looking down at his phone, with a confident smile on his face, as if everything was under control, as if today was a good day, as if the rest of his life would be smooth sailing. Okay, then keep this smile a little longer. The moment the bathroom door closed, I scanned the entire space. 2 cubicles, a mirror, and a sink. And a sliding window above the wall. Not big. By visual inspection, it is 60 centimeters wide. I looked at the window and then down at myself. A bit hanging, but it's not impossible. I put my bag on the sink, squatted down, and took off my high heels. 7-centimeter thin heels, off-white. Fujian bought them with me last week, saying they look good on me. It's so good looking, it rubbed my feet so hard that my heels were all soaked. The shoes are on the floor. I stepped on the toilet seat and pushed open the window. The window is rusty and cannot be pushed open. Push hard. There was a creak and a crack opened. Try harder. Bang, it's open. Outside is the green belt and short shrubs behind the Civil Affairs Bureau, and beyond that is the sidewalk. The height is about 2 meters. I put one leg up on the windowsill, and my skirt was tight and stuck. Looking down, I saw that the skirt was hanging on the window handle. I tugged, didn't pull. Another tug. The skirt made a crisp hiss sound, and there was a gaping hole from the side waist to the knees. A 3,080 dress. Fujian bought it. It doesn't matter. I rolled out of the window and briefly lost my balance in the air, and then... thump. He plopped down into the bushes. The leaves pricked my legs, the branches poked my back, and I had a piece of broken leaf in my mouth. Pain. But this kind of pain is compared to the pain of lying on the floor at 4 in the morning in my previous life, with blood pouring out of my stomach. It's no different than scratching an itch. I climbed out of the bush, patted the dirt on my skirt, and looked down. No shoes. The shoes are in the toilet. The bag is also in the toilet. The phone is also in the bag. I rummaged all over and found a folded bill in my bra. $6. My mother has taught me life-saving skills since childhood. You must put money in your underwear when you go out. If you are kidnapped, you can still make a phone call. Mom, your education has finally come in handy. I walked to the roadside barefoot and got on a bus. When I ate 2 yuan from the coin box, the driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Girl, are you okay? Fine. Do you want to call the police? No, thank you. I just needed to use the restroom. There were only a few passengers in the car, and an aunt stared at my bare feet for a long time, then came over and said, Daughter, are you being bullied? No, Auntie. What about your shoes? I thought for a while. It fell into the toilet. The aunt opened her mouth but said nothing. I turned to look out the window. The sunshine is very good, the streets are very clean, and the leaves of the sycamore trees on the roadside are green. I have never seen this road in summer again in my previous life. Because that autumn, Fu Zian would tell me, He-Ning is not in good health. She wants to go to Tibet. I must accompany her. Just a few months, I promise. A few months turned into 16 years. And I promised to wait for him to come back for 16 years. Now, I looked at the sunshine outside the window and suddenly felt that the 6 yuan was well spent. The bus was driving slowly, and I still had $4 left. Enough to buy a bowl of powder. I wanted to eat the beef noodle shop in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau every time I passed by it in my previous life, but Fu Zian said the roadside stall was unhygienic. In this life, I can eat whatever I want. I got off the bus at the next stop, walked barefoot into the pink shop, and sat down under the shocked gaze of the boss. Boss, a bowl of beef noodles, spicy with eggs. 4.5. I slapped the $4 on the table and said, No more eggs. The boss was silent for 3 seconds, silently gave me a bowl, and added an egg. Sent, he said, his eyes pitiful. Okay. I immersed myself in slurping the noodles. The soup base was made from beef bones, and the chili was freshly minced. The noodles were so full of soup that my whole body was shaking when I slurped them into my mouth. Not cold. It's cool. The day I died in my previous life, I had not eaten for 3 days. This bowl of rice noodles was my first meal as a new student. After eating the powder, I wiped my mouth and stood up. Boss, please lend me a phone to make a call. The boss handed over the phone. I dialed a number from the smallest to the oldest. It rang twice and was answered over there. Who? Mom, it's me. Sue Tang, didn't you get your certificate today? I got half of it, but I didn't get it all. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a second. Where are you? I'll pick you up. No questioning. No preaching. There is no, why are you like this? Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later, that's all we know. 40 minutes later, my mother appeared at the door of the powder store riding her creaking electric bicycle, her helmet tilted, and a pair of slippers strapped to the back seat. She looked me up and down. There was a tear in the skirt. No shoes on feet. There were broken leaves in the hair. There was a bead of sweat on the tip of his nose. Chilly oil hangs from the corner of his mouth. She threw the slippers to me expressionlessly and got on the car. Come up. Mom. We'll talk about it when we get home. Let's go first. I put on my slippers, got on the back seat, and put my arms around her waist. The electric car was driving on the road, the wind was blowing in from my ears, and the opening on my skirt was swaying in the wind. My mother rode for about 2 minutes and suddenly spoke. Where is Fu Zian? Waiting at the Civil Affairs Bureau. What are you waiting for? Waiting till I finished using the bathroom. She didn't look back, but I felt her back tremble. After a few seconds, she forced out a muffled laugh from her nasal cavity. Then that muffled chuckle turned into a laugh. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later, that's all we know. The battery car tilted twice on the road and almost hit a curb. Mom, watch the road. Ha 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 ha, is he still waiting? Waiting. Ha 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 ha, that kid can wait until dark. She laughed so hard that the whole battery car shook, and the car behind her honked its horn 800 times. I held her waist tightly, her hair flying in the wind. This is what it feels like to be alive. Chapter 2. Fu Zian sat on a chair outside the Civil Affairs Bureau for 10 minutes and felt that nothing was wrong. Su Tang's gastrointestinal condition has never been very good, so it's normal to go to the toilet for a long time. He flipped through his phone, replied to 2 work emails, and checked the Lucky Today copy in his circle of friends that he had edited in advance. The accompanying picture shows 2 red notebooks. Empty. Haven't gotten it yet. Don't worry, just wait until she comes out. 15 minutes. He put down his phone and glanced in the direction of the bathroom. The corridors were empty. 20 minutes. He stood up, walked to the bathroom door, hesitated, and knocked twice. Su Tang, are you okay? No one responded. Su Tang. Still no one responded. He took a step back and looked at the female staff member passing by. Excuse me, can you help me check the women's bathroom? My fiancé has been in there for more than 20 minutes. The staff pushed the door open and came out 3 seconds later. There's no one inside. Fu Zian's expression paused. No one. Yeah, no one. But the window is open, there are a pair of shoes on the floor, and there's a bag on the sink. He stood at the door and processed the information for 3 seconds. Then he opened the door and walked in. Women's restroom. A pair of off-white high heels were placed neatly next to the toilet. On the sink is Su Tang's bag with the zipper unzipped. The phone is still in the bag. The windows were wide open. He went to the window and looked out. There was a hollow in the bush where a man had sat. A few broken branches. There were barefoot footprints on the ground. He stared at the pit for a long, long time. Next to him, a staff member said cautiously, "Sir, did your fiancé escape through the window?" Impossible. But she probably just wanted to get some air. From the window? This window is really good for ventilation. The staff member moved his mouth and swallowed back the question. "Sir, are you seriously ill?" Fu Zian took out Su Tang's mobile phone from his bag, and the screen was on. 12 missed calls. It was all his doing. His assistant Zhou Yan's call came in at this time. "Mr. Fu, have you received your certificate? Do you want me to book the restaurant for the celebration?" Zhou Yan. Exist. Help me check if the surveillance near the Civil Affairs Bureau can be adjusted. Zhou Yan was stunned for a moment. What happened? Fu Zian stood in the women's bathroom, holding Su Tang's mobile phone in his hand. Next to him was a pair of empty high heels, and behind him was a wide open window. He felt like he was dreaming. Su Tang went to the toilet and left. Went to the bathroom? What do you mean? Where did you go? Left through the window. Zhou Yan was silent for 4 seconds. Window? There was silence for another 3 seconds. "Mr. Fu, did you have a fight?" "No." "Then why did she dash?" "I have no idea." Fu Zian put away Su Tang's bag and shoes and walked out of the bathroom. The other couples waiting in the hall looked at him curiously, a man in a suit and tie, walking out of the women's restroom with a pair of women's high heels and a floral bag in his hand. An older brother standing in line next to him patted his girlfriend on the shoulder. "You see, getting married is risky." His girlfriend rolled her eyes at him. "I ran away because I met someone unkindly." Fu Zian pretended not to hear. He walked out of the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau and stood on the steps and called Su Tang's mother. After 5 rings, I answered. "Auntie, has Su Tang gone home?" The sound of cooking came from the other end of the phone. "Su Tang? Didn't she go to get the certificate with you?" Ms. Jiang Yulan's acting skills are at the level of a movie queen. She went out midway and didn't take her mobile phone with her. I couldn't find her. "Oh, then you should keep searching. The young man has a bad temper and might have gone out to the mall." "Auntie, she doesn't even have any shoes on." Then I went to the mall to buy shoes. Jiang Yulan put down the phone, turned to me, who was lying on the sofa and chewing chicken legs, and said, "Your guy, you're on the phone." You said you ran away without even wearing any shoes." Should you explain it to me?" I took a bite of the chicken leg and thought about how to organize the words. "Mom, do you believe there is such a thing as rebirth in this world?" She glanced at me. "Do you have a fever?" "No fever. Please sit down and listen to me." My mother sat across from me with a plate of freshly fried tomato scrambled eggs and looked at me with a trace of scrutiny. "Explain." "I can't explain how I know, but Fu Zian can't marry." "Nonsense. I was against it from the beginning." "Have you ever objected?" "When your father agreed, I kicked him 3 times. Why do you think your father walked with a limp? His waist flashed? What he flashed was my footprints." "Okay. It turns out that my mother has always been opposed to it, but her objection was more physical. He will meet a woman in the future, and that woman will trick him away." "What woman?" "The one who claims to have saved his life. His name is Bai Henning." My mother's hand, holding the chopsticks, paused. "Bai Henning." I looked at her expression, and my heart skipped a beat. "Mom, do you know her?" She put down her chopsticks, stood up, walked to the cabinet, rummaged for a long time, and pulled out a brown paper envelope. "Last month, a woman came to me and said she was a friend of Jian. She asked me when you were going to get married. She had long hair and spoke softly. She left a business card when she left." She handed over her business card. Silver lettering on white background. By Henning, freelance photographer. On the back of the business card, a line of small words was handwritten with a ballpoint pen. "Andy, Brother Zian is very kind to me. I hope I can come here often in the future." I stared at that line of text for a long time. In my previous life, Bai Henning first appeared in front of me in the 3rd month after marriage. In this life, she didn't even wait for me to get the certificate before she came and stepped on it. My mother looked at my expression and frowned. "Su Tang, what do you know?" I turned the business card over and over, holding the word and under my fingernails. "Mom, she said Fu Zian was kind to her?" "Yes, when she fell into the water in college, Zian saved her life." I looked up at my mom. "Mom, the original version of this story is not like this." "Which version?" "The version Fu Zian told me is, he fell into the water when he was in college and Bai Henning rescued him." In the kitchen, the range hood was humming. My mother's eyes narrowed. "Who saved whom?" "That's the point." I put the business card on the table. "What she told you was Zian was kind to her, and what she told Fu Zian was she was kind to Zian. 2 completely opposite stories, told in different versions to different people." My mother was silent for a while, then picked up the business card and read it again. Then she tore up the card. "Tear it into 4 pieces. Throw it in the trash. Okay, if you don't want to marry, you won't marry. I'll lock up your household registration book tomorrow." I looked at the broken business cards in the trash can, and my nose suddenly felt a little sore. In my previous life, no one helped me tear up this business card. In my previous life, I had never even seen this business card. In this life, my mother will tear it up for me. Eat. My mother put the chopsticks into my hand. The chicken legs are not delicious when they are cold. I lowered my head to eat. Halfway through eating, there was a knock on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Very urgent, very heavy. My mother glanced at me, walked to the door, and looked out through the peephole. Then she turned her head and mouthed me, Fuzian. I put down my chopsticks and walked over, standing on tiptoe to look out of the peephole. Fuzian stood outside the door. My shirt was pulled out of my pants, my hair was a little messy, and I was still holding my pair of high heels in my hand. Behind him stood Zhou Yen, with an "I don't know why I'm here" expression on his face. And behind Zhou Yen, half a body's distance, a woman stood. Long hair, white dress, red eyes, one hand gently resting on Fuzian's arm. Bai Henning. My mom saw it too. She slowly straightened up from the cat's eyes and glanced at me. The meaning of that glance is clear. Look, the woman you are talking about is standing outside the door now. Came here with your fiancé. Coming to find you, his fiancé. And your fiancé. Didn't even think there was anything wrong with it. I took a deep breath. My mother stopped me and went to open the door herself. The door opened a crack. Auntie, is Su Tang here? She dash. Not here. Auntie, I know she is here. Her slippers are at the door. That's mine. Auntie, that's size 37. I have small feet. Fuzian took a deep breath and seemed to be trying his best to restrain his emotions. Auntie, I just want to make sure she is safe and say a few words to her dash. She's safe. Enough said. My mother was about to close the door when Bai Henning, who was behind Fuzian, suddenly poked his head out. Auntie, it's my fault. Brother Zian asked me to help him because he wanted to find Sister Su Tang. I shouldn't have disturbed you. My mother stared at Bai Henning for 2 seconds. Then she smiled. I'm familiar with that kind of laughter. This is how she smiles when the vegetable market vendor loses her weight. Friendly, mild. Murderous intent overflowed. Girl, who are you? Bai Henning was stunned for a moment. I am Brother Zian's. I didn't ask who you are to him. I asked who you are. What does it have to do with my daughter? Is it your turn to be sorry about my daughter? Bai Henning's lips trembled. Fu Zian frowned. Auntie, He-Ning is my friend. Hello, friend. Just ask your friend to wait downstairs. You brought a young and beautiful friend to find your runaway fiancé. Zian, is your brain used to grow hair? Fu Zian's expression changed. Auntie, you misunderstood. It's closed. I'm cooking at home, and there's a lot of fumes. Snap. The door is closed. The lock is on. The chain is also hung up. My mother turned around and looked at me, who was huddled behind the shoe cabinet, and eavesdropped. You picked a good man. I picked it in my previous life. You didn't have eyes in your last life. There's no way to argue with that. I returned to the table and continued eating. Outside the door, Fuzian knocked for a few more minutes and finally gave up. The footsteps fade away. 3 people. I picked up a chopstick and chewed the scrambled egg with tomato. A bit salty. Chapter 3. That night, my mother dug out a red passbook. Your grandma left it to you. She said she would give it to you on your wedding day. I'm not married yet. I'll give it even if it's not done. Anyway, today is the original day, so we can't waste your grandma's thoughts. I opened my bank book. The number is not huge, but for me now, it is a real amount of startup capital. There is a yellowed note in the passbook with grandma's handwriting on it. My grandma only went to school for 3 years. Her handwriting is crooked, but each stroke is pressed hard and deeply. Tang Tang, if you get married, use this as your dowry. If you don't get married, that's better. Use this money to live your own life. Grandma has been married 3 times in her life, and she never got married once. You should try your best. I sat holding the piece of paper for a long time. My mother was washing dishes in the kitchen, and the water made a splash. Mom, Grandma was married 3 times? The first time I ran away to marry, but the man ran away. The second time the matchmaker said, beat her. The third time it was your grandpa. He lived a life of make-do. Then why is she still saving a dowry for me? My mother turned off the faucet, wiped her hands, and walked out. Because she knows that whether she is married or not, a woman must have money. I closed the passbook and held it against my chest. Thank you, Grandma. I didn't use this money in my previous life, because Fuzian said that he supports me and I don't need money. This life, I use it to feed myself. The next morning I made a plan. Reborn standard operating procedures. The first item, buy a house. The average price of the community on Zhongshan Road in my previous life was now 4,000, which has nearly quadrupled 7 years later. This is one of the few pieces of predictive information that I am sure of because in my previous life, I cried every day looking at house prices for 16 years, and that number was engraved in my DNA. Item 2, make money. In my previous life, I learned accounting by myself and worked in a small company for more than 10 years. The biggest advantage of being reborn is not a golden finger, but that I saved 3 years of study time. I know everything I need to know. Item 3, stay away from Fuzian. This one requires no planning. I just don't show up. I went over these 3 points over and over in my mind and found them to be very reliable, very pragmatic, and very down to earth. Another reborn heroine, disrupting the business landscape and turning her hands into clouds and rain. I, Sue Tang, buy a small house, get a certificate, go to work, and raise a dog. The layout is a bit small, but safe. After breakfast, I went out with my grandma's bank book. First go to the bank to withdraw money, and then go to Zhongshan Road to view the house. When I passed a lottery shop, I stopped and took a look. Buying lottery tickets after rebirth is a great deal. Then I recalled it carefully. In my previous life, I never even touched the edge of the winning numbers because I didn't buy lottery tickets at all. Fuzian said gambling is not good. So the only thing I remember about the lottery is that in 2019, Aunt Lee next door won 5 yuan and treated the whole building to a bag of melon seeds. With this memory reserve, I am still reborn. I don't deserve it. I looked back and continued walking forward. Zhongshan Road, viewing properties. The little girl at the sales office looked at my outfit, my mother's old t-shirt, slippers, my hair casually tied into a ponytail, and obviously hesitated whether to accept me or not. Hello, I would like to see your apartment size of about 70 square meters. Is this for investment or for self-occupation? Owner, full payment. Her attitude immediately changed 180 degrees. After busy work, he showed me 3 apartments. In the end, I chose a small 2-bedroom apartment facing south. The balcony faces an old camphor tree and has a wide view. In a previous life, this building was the first to increase in price, because 3 years later a subway station was built next to it. What is this called? This is called market research that Su Tang spent 16 years of tears and heartache in his previous life. When signing the contract, the sales girl couldn't help but ask, "Sister, what do you do for a living? Buying a house with full payment at such a young age." I thought about it. The house was demolished. In her envious eyes, I signed my name, Su Tang. The feeling of these 2 words falling on the paper is completely different from that on the marriage form from the Civil Affairs Bureau. That time, I surrendered myself. This time, it's to get yourself back. That night, my mother was sitting in the living room knitting sweaters, and anti-Japanese dramas were playing on the TV. I lay on the couch and studied the CPA exam syllabus. The phone rang. It's Zhou Yan's number. I answered. "Miss Su." "Zhou Yan, what's wrong?" "Mr. Fu asked me to ask you if you can meet him." "Cannot," he said. "No. Is there anything else?" Zhou Yan paused. "Miss Su, I'm not speaking for him, but he's been in really bad shape these past 2 days. He was in a daze for 10 minutes during the meeting yesterday." Zhou Yan. Exist. He used to be in a daze during meetings, but he was thinking about Bai Henning instead of me. This time he missed me, not because he cared about me, but because he was worried about losing something. Once he gets used to it, he won't be anxious anymore. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a long time. "Miss Su, you have changed." "No change. I just went to the bathroom." I hung up the phone. My mother didn't even raise her head. "The one with the surname Zhou?" "Yes. Fuzian asked him to come and test my identity." "What did you say?" I said no. "Okay." She knitted 2 stitches and then said, "Tell me more about Bai Henning." "Say what?" "You said she claimed to have saved Fuzian. Is there any third-party witness to this matter?" I thought about it. In my previous life, I heard this story countless times, all relayed by Fuzian. Bai Henning never took the initiative to mention this matter. No, she mentioned it, but in another way, every time she mentioned that day, her body would tremble slightly, and then she would say, "I don't want to remember it anymore." Fuzian would hug her distressfully and say, "I won't mention it anymore, I won't mention it anymore." And I stood by. There was no doubt about the previous life. In this life, Mom, if a person really saved someone else's life, wouldn't the version of the story be consistent? What do you mean? What Bai Henning told you was Fuzian was kind to her, and what he told Fuzian was she was kind to Fuzian. If it is true, the versions should be consistent. My mother put down her knitting needles. You mean? What I mean is that this so-called life-saving grace may be fake from beginning to end. What's the truth? I didn't find out in my last life. I lowered my eyes. I died too early. When I said the sentence, my tone was too flat. My mother's knitting stopped. She looked at me for a while, without asking. Then he stood up and went to the kitchen to bring out a bowl of white fungus soup. Drink. I took the bowl. The soup is hot. The bowl is hot. He drank in small sips. My mother sat down again and picked up the knitting needle. The only sounds left in the living room were the sound of the TV and the tinkling of knitting needles. Su Tang. Don't die so early in this life. I chewed up the few wolfberries at the bottom of the bowl and swallowed them. Sweet. Chapter 4. Over the next month, I lived a busy and fulfilling life. Register for the CPA exam. Preparation for acceptance of new home before delivery. And find a job. When it came to the work experience column on my resume, I had a problem. There is no way to write about the experience of a previous life. As soon as you write it, it will be revealed. I can only write about my current status, no work experience, taking the CPA exam. I submitted more than a dozen resumes and received 3 interview notices. The first 2 died due to the same problem. What were you doing before? The first one, I said at home. The way the interviewer looked at me was, oh, he's an old man. For the second family, I said full-time wife. The interviewer looked at me like, oh, I'm fired. So during the interview with the third company, I directly changed my explanation. Excuse me, why do you have no previous work experience? The digestive system is not good. Interviewer, what? The last time I went to work, I stayed in the toilet for too long. The interviewer looked at me blankly for 3 seconds. Then she lowered her head and looked through my written test results. Full marks. She looked at my CPA exam preparation progress again. All 4 subjects were progressing at the same time. She closed the folder. Miss Sue, come to work tomorrow. What position? Be the financial assistant first. Any questions? No problem. Working hours are from 8:30 to 6 o'clock with a 1-hour lunch break. Is the bathroom free? She blinked. Freedom. Then I'll do it. This company is called Zhenghe Information Technology. It is not a big company with about 50 people, and it is engaged in data analysis business. The boss's surname is Chen. He is in his early 40s. He comes from a big factory to start a business. He has a worrying hairline but sharp eyes and speaks quickly and directly. On my first day on the job, he called me into the office. New here? Sue Tang. Right. You got full marks on the financial questions in the written test. The last accountant in our company who got full marks has now bought 3 houses in Pudong. He also has a bad digestive system. Mr. Chen was stunned for a moment, then smiled. You are quite interesting. Go to work. Getting started quickly. After all, I have been doing this for more than 10 years in my previous life. From bookkeeping to auditing to report analysis, I could do it all with my eyes closed. But this state of can do it with eyes closed has become something else in the eyes of colleagues. On the 3rd day after joining the company, Sister Lin from the next workstation came over and said, Sue Tang, have you ever worked at a Big 4 company before? No. Then why do you do the accounting so quickly? I did the report for 2 days, and you finished it in half an hour. Practice. Where did you practice? Home. Sister Lin glanced at me suspiciously and didn't ask any more questions. In my first week of employment, Mr. Chen asked me to make a financial forecast of market trends. This kind of thing requires analyzing data, comparing industry reports, and making models. The normal process requires at least 2 weeks. I did it for a day and a half. Because there are some trends that I don't need to analyze. They've already happened in a previous life. Of course, I can't use all my past life memories. Unreasonable judgment exposes me. So I only fine-tuned some forecast data on key nodes, and the rest relied on formal analysis. After Mr. Chen read the report, he was silent in the office for a long time. Then he promoted me. The financial assistant became the treasurer. 50% salary increase. The whole company was stunned. Sister Lin grabbed me in the tea room and said, Sue Tang, honestly, who are you? No background, just good luck. Shit, if you're lucky enough to be able to predict the trend in the 3rd quarter, it's like you've opened your eyes. Maybe he's just naturally sensitive. What are you sensitive to? Sensitive to losing money. Seniors, when I was in school, I could smell it a week in advance if the dining hall increased the meal price by 50 cents. Sister Lin looked at me with a, what are you talking about, expression for 8 seconds, and then walked away with her thermos cup. The days passed. The decoration of new houses is also progressing. I chose the simplest decoration plan, white walls, wooden floors, and basic furniture. The rental house in my previous life was too dark, had poor sound insulation, was hot in the summer and cold in the winter. I have only one request in this life. Good sunshine. The decorator asked me, how about using this wall in the living room as a styling background? No. White mitt. Should we make a suspended ceiling in the bedroom? No. White mitt. Is the balcony sealed? No. I want to bask in the sun. The master looked at me with a kind of pity, probably thinking that I was so poor that all I had left was a white wall. But I'm satisfied. White walls, wooden floors, a large bed, and a bookshelf. Put a rocking chair on the balcony. This is the house I dreamed of living in my previous life. Lived in the dream for 16 years. In this life, I finally moved in. On the day of the move, my mom came to help. She walked through each room, touched the walls, pushed the windows, and finally stood on the balcony, looking at the old camphor tree downstairs. Good. Just 2 words. Then she took out a red envelope from her pocket and gave it to me. When you get a red envelope when you move in, you must follow some rules. I took it apart and took a look. $128. My mother. Fake it all the way. Get lucky. I put the red envelope on the refrigerator door. That night, I sat alone on the balcony of my new home, the rocking chair rocking gently. Someone was walking their dog downstairs, and the sound of square dancing music could be heard in the distance. Fu Ziyan is probably still looking for me. Bai Henning is probably still acting tender and fragile in her script. But none of this has anything to do with me. After living 2 lifetimes, I finally learned one thing. Get yourself settled first. The rest, never mind. Chapter 5. 2 months later. Autumn. My CPA passed 2 subjects, accounting and tax law. I have completely established myself in the company. Mr. Chen began to ask me to participate in external meetings and connect financial data with partners. The days are dull and fulfilling. Until that afternoon. Mr. Chen called me to the office. Su Tang, there is a project cooperation meeting next week, and the other party is an investment company. You're going to present the financial plan. Okay, who is the other party? He flipped through his business card case and handed one to me. Yanqing Capital. I took it. Yanqing Capital. Fujian. Yen. No way. Mr. Chen, who is the person in charge of this company? Fujian. Have you heard of him? He is a very young investor who has been very popular in the industry recently. I put my business card on the table and kept a professional smile on my face. I've heard of it. No. Not familiar. Mr. Chen glanced at me. It's better if you are not familiar with it. Only if you are not familiar with it can you be objective. Go and prepare. I walked out of the office with my business card in hand, standing in the corridor for 3 minutes. Okay. Sooner or later it will happen. This city is so big. I can't move to Antarctica to escape him. Besides, I don't owe him anything. It's what he owes me. Over the next week, I focused on preparing that financial plan. Very professionally done. Every data has a source, and every prediction is supported by a model. I'm going to professionally paste his face into the wall. No. I plan to let him know professionally how good Su Tang's life is after leaving him. No, it's not. I just want to do a good job. It has nothing to do with him. Real. Who wants to show it to him? Who cares? Su Tang, you were smiling when you were giving a report, Sister Lin said as she passed by my workstation. Professional smile for practice. Can you not laugh so creepily when you practice? Tuesday. Negotiation meeting. The location is a hotel conference hall. I wore a new suit I bought, black, neat, and made of crisp material. Hair tied up, light makeup, high heels. No need for the 3,080 kind. The ones I wear now cost 400 yuan, but they are comfortable and I can run, jump, and climb through windows. After rebirth, the first criterion for choosing shoes is not good looks. It is inconvenient to escape. When the door of the conference room was opened, 7 or 8 people were already sitting inside. I scanned around. Not here yet. He breathed a sigh of relief. I turned on the projection, adjusted the equipment, and laid out the materials. The door opened again. A faint scent of pine. I've smelled this scent for 6 years, from love to engagement. You don't have to look back to know who it is. I didn't look back. Continued debugging the projection. Mr. Fu is here. Mr. Chen stood up to greet him. I heard chairs being pulled, greetings being exchanged, handshakes being shaken. Then, a voice paused. That kind of pause is not a normal pause. It was the kind of pause where your footsteps suddenly hit the ground. I turned around. His eyes met Fujian's. He stood across the conference table. I'm thinner than I was 3 months ago. There is obvious cyan color under the eyes. The shirt is neat, but the tie is a little crooked. Fujian in his previous life would never allow his tie to be crooked. He looked at me. The pupils visibly dilated for a moment. The lips moved, but no sound came out. The folder in Zhou Yan's hand behind him fell to the ground with a bang. The entire conference room was quiet for 3 seconds. Mr. Chen looked at him and then at me. Do you know each other? I smiled slightly and stretched out my right hand. Hello, Mr. Fu. I am Su Tang, the financial director of Jinghai Information. I am responsible for the financial plan presentation of this cooperation project. Please give me your advice. Standard business etiquette. Standard social distance. A tone that couldn't be more standard. Fujian stared at my outstretched hand and didn't move for several seconds. Zhou Yan stepped on him from behind. Only then did he react and hold my hand. His hands were cold. Su Tang. Well, it's me. Come on, everyone, please take a seat and let's get started. I pulled my hand away and turned to the projection screen. Restraint, calm, major. The financial model of this cooperation plan is divided into 3 parts. I started talking. During the whole process, Fujian didn't say a word. His eyes were glued to me from beginning to end. Mr. Chen asked 3 questions. The financial director of the other company mentioned 2 things. Zhou Yan mentioned 1. Fujian didn't spit out a word. After finishing speaking, Mr. Chen clapped with a satisfied smile. Su Tang did it in great detail. What do you think, Mr. Fu? Everyone's eyes turned to Fujian. He sat on a chair, clutching a pen, his knuckles turning white. Very good. His voice was a little hoarse. Let's go back and study the plan. The meeting adjourned. People stood up and walked out one after another. I packed up the information, tucked it under my arm, and headed for the door. Someone quickly followed behind me. Su Tang. I didn't stop. Su Tang. He grabbed my arm. I stopped. There were other people coming and going in the hallway. I turned around and looked at him. His eyes were red. You've been going to the bathroom for 3 months? I thought about it seriously. My digestive system is not good. Sorry. The corner of his mouth twitched. I don't know whether to cry or laugh. Why did you run? It's too hot. The wind from the bathroom window is very cool. Su Tang, can you talk to me seriously? Fujian, I'm at work now. What about after get off work? I'm going to the supermarket after get off work. Where are you after going to the supermarket? Go home and cook. Have you finished cooking? Do the washing up. Have you finished washing the dishes? Watch a show. After watching the show. Fujian. I sighed. What do you want to say to me? Just tell me. He opened his mouth. I hesitated for a long time. I wonder if I did something wrong. Someone pushed the door open at the end of the corridor and came out, the sound of high heels clicking. I looked at his face. The face that I once held in my hands. Now it looks like just a face. You did nothing wrong, I said. I just don't want to get married. It has nothing to do with you. Who does that have to do with? It has something to do with me. He was silent for a few seconds. Is it by Henning? I laughed. Fujian, look, you can mention names faster than me. His face suddenly turned pale. Su Tang.